Thinking about moving to Hamilton, or maybe you're already living here and wondering if home ownership is within reach. Well, in today's video, I'm breaking down the real cost of living in Hamilton. Housing, groceries, entertainment, no sugarcoating. And trust me, some of these numbers might surprise you, especially if you're coming from Toronto. So stay with me to the end because I'm going to share a few costs that most people don't think of, but you'll definitely want to. My name is Morgan Little. I'm a realtor here in Hamilton, and I specialize in helping first-time homebuyers and those who haven't bought in a while wrap their head around the real costs of buying a home. If there's ever anything I can do to help in your journey, feel free to book a call using the Calendly link below or simply shoot me a text, and I'm happy to have a chat. Also, be sure to download my free buyer's guide in the link below. It's super helpful. Now let's get started with the big one, housing. As of mid-2025, the average home price in Hamilton is sitting around $765,000. It's down slightly from our peak just a few years ago, but it might be a little bit more than most people expect. Though I will caveat that with the fact that that average price takes into account Dundas, Ancaster, Stony Creek, all the surrounding areas around Hamilton. And so the fact is, for first-time home buyers, you definitely can find a place that's lower than that $765,000 mark. There are starter homes in the $400,000 to $500,000 range. There are condos in the $300,000 to $400,000 range, and townhomes and detached homes up from there. So don't let that number scare you. If it threw you off at first, there are plenty of options no matter what your budget. But the good news is Hamilton still offers a lot more value than Toronto or Mississauga, Burlington, or Oakville. The best thing for you to do would be to reach out to a mortgage broker and get pre-approved so you have an understanding of what your purchasing power is. Then you're going to want to connect with a realtor who you actually click with so you can sit down and put a plan together to get you into a home. Or if you're just looking at renting, like many cities across the province, rents have increased quite a bit over the last few years, though we're seeing a slight decrease in the last number of months. So for a one bedroom, you're looking at anywhere from $1,700 to $1,900. And a two bed can range anywhere from maybe $2,000 to $2,400, whereas larger family rentals like townhomes or detached homes can be $2,500 plus. It also really depends on which area you choose to live in. Transportation is another huge factor when budgeting for your life in Hamilton. If you're taking public transit, a monthly pass is going to cost you about $120, with a single fare being $3.40 at this time. And then you have the GO train, which will take you all the way to Toronto for about $15. They also have monthly packages as well. Now, if you're driving, gas prices in Hamilton tend to be about 10% cheaper than Toronto. Car insurance as well is likely going to be less than if you're living in Toronto. I remember the shock when I moved from Montreal to Toronto. Originally, I was paying $70 in Montreal. And then I moved to Toronto. I was living downtown, mind you. My insurance shot up to over $300. So living in Hamilton is definitely less than it was in Toronto. And there are a number of factors that go into this, mainly where you live, where you park, your history, all that stuff. But I definitely think you're going to find a reduction in your cost in insurance moving from Toronto to Hamilton. And with the LRT project underway, that's going to have an impact on Hamilton Transit as well as likely Hamilton home prices. Now, utilities and internet, you probably can't get away from whether you're renting or you're buying, so let's go over those. If you're a single family home, you're probably looking at about $300 to $400 for your hydro, your gas, your water, and then you have internet probably on top of that. If you're living in a condo, those fees may include water and even heat, so you're looking at probably budgeting for about half of that, maybe $150 to $200. And then if you're renting, if you're lucky, you get all those things included, but you may have to pay for your own electricity and potentially your own heat. Internet packages are going to be very similar to what you'll find in another city, so anywhere from $50, $60 a month. Now, another one you just can't avoid are grocery and food costs. This needs to be taken with a grain of salt because it's really dependent on who you are, how much you eat, how many people you are, etc. I know for ourselves, we're a family of 3. We were doing meal delivery kits for a long time. Those can get expensive, though they are convenient. And really, when you do the math, not that much more if you were going to cook the same food. Those were costing about $150 a week. Plus, we were doing grocery shopping for the staples on top of that. So add another $150 to $200 a week. So you're looking at, $300, $350 per week. Do the math on that. You're looking at $1,200 to $1,400 a month. Now that's for our family and how we choose to eat and the things we choose to buy. You may be very different, and there are a lot of ways you could save money. We've been doing a lot of crock potting lately, which helps save and is delicious. And for an individual, it may be different because maybe you're spending more time going out to restaurants and eating out and stuff like that. Now, in terms of eating out, there are a ton of great restaurants here, so you have a lot of options. You can do casual dining for maybe $30, or you can go a higher end place that's going to cost you $80 or $90 $20 per person. Fast food is going to be quite similar to other places. You're probably looking at $15, $20. But like I said, there are a ton of options to match any budget. Plus we have the Hamilton Farmers Market where you can find all your fresh produce at a great price. Now let's talk entertainment and lifestyle. This is going to really depend on you and what you like to do. If you're a sports fan, you can get Tiger Cats tickets for anywhere from $30 to $100. There's lots of events happening here. There's comedy shows, there's concerts, there's movies like everywhere else, but you can have most of the entertainment options here in Hamilton that you could find in other major centers. There's also a ton of free things to do like Supercrawl or Summerfest, or go hiking on one of the many trails here and visit one of the over 100 waterfalls available in the Hamilton region. Next, if you're a family, you're going to have childcare, clothing, school fees, all that stuff. Daycare under the $10 a day program is still going to cost you anywhere from $500 to maybe $700, depending on the facility and whether or not they opt in. And if they don't opt in, then expect it to be quite a bit more. Then you may have before and after school care, which can run you from $200 to $400 a month. Public school is obviously free under our taxes. And then you have private school options that can range from anywhere similar to the private daycare costs to much higher. Post-secondary education can range from anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000 a year. And clothing is a really personal choice too. It depends on how much you like to go shopping, where you like to shop, and how fancy you like to dress. So I won't get into that too much, but I will talk about some costs that people often forget. One of those being property taxes if you do purchase a property, which can be anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000 for the year, depending on the type of home you have, where it's located, and the size. Home insurance is going to be $1,200 to $1,500 a year. Maintenance and repairs, a good rule of thumb is to have about 2% of your home's value set aside in case you need to do any major work, and continuing to contribute to that on a monthly basis. It's not just a mortgage payment that you need to budget for when you become a homeowner. There are a lot of other hidden costs that people don't necessarily think about, but that's why I'm here to let you know about those so that you're prepared, because then you're in a good position. And trust me, the pride and love of having your own space, of home ownership itself, far outweighs these little extra costs that you need to be prepared for. So is Hamilton affordable? Well, that's all really relative. Compared to places like Toronto, Vancouver, Ottawa, Montreal, yeah, I'd say it is. If you've been living in a small town up north, you might find it a little bit more expensive here. We are in the greater Toronto Hamilton area, so it's to be expected that it's going to be a little costlier than some other small places. But it's a great city, and as long as you're prepared, you won't be caught off guard. If you're thinking about moving here, or if you're already living here and thinking about buying a home, I'd be happy to have a chat to see if we'd be a good fit and if I can help. Go ahead and download my buyer guide below, then book a call using my Calendly link, and I'm happy to have that chat. Till then, I'll see you on the next one.